sat down to watch a movie that you have to do a double take on. Like you knew it was really bad the first time you watched it, but you had to watch it again just to make sure. There's just some movies that are so good that you cannot forget, and there are some movies that are so bad that you can't forget either, no matter how much you try. As a movie lover, I watched many horrible movies, but rated 1 out of 5 stars on Metacritic, Avatar: The Last Airbender was probably the worst. Avatar: The Last Airbender was truly horrendous when it came to detached acting, the complicated plotting, and the epic fail conclusion that the anime series pretty much prides its success on. So now let me start with one aspect that ultimately made this film truly horrendous: the acting. Anyone who has seen the anime series know that the show is incomparable. The characters were relatable and inspiring. The journey was intense and climactic. For those of you who do not know of the Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm gonna give you a brief description. The Avatar: The Last Airbender is about a boy named Aang. He's a 12-year-old boy, and he is the Avatar, which means he is the only one who can restore the world order. In the show, he's forced to grow older or faster than he was, so he has to learn the elements a lot faster than he would like. So he needs to learn the elements earth, fire, and water. Only then will he be able to conquer the Firebenders, the evil nation that threatens the world, according to the gender bending by Megan E. Jackson. This movie attempt to bring the characters to life was truly atrocious. The actors were depressing to watch. They lacked the charisma. The three characters, Aang, Katara, and Sokka, were stripped of their personalities. The actors looked like they were reading the script as they were filming. Katara's exposition was so unnecessary. Aang, majority of the movie, was a crybaby, and Sokka had to be the worst of all, who was stripped of his comic relief and was totally unrecognizable from the character in the show. Now that we've talked about the acting, next let's talk about the plotting. The anime version of Avatar: The Last Airbender was phenomenal. It did a phenomenal job creating a memorable storyline. This helped the audience form bonds with the characters as we got to see them grow and overcome obstacles that in some way were relatable to the audience. We got to see Aang as a immature child that only wanted to have fun and only cared about himself, growing to become the more mature character by the end of the series, and arguably the greatest Avatar there was. The storyline made watching the show a pleasurable experience. Honestly, the movie had one job, and it failed miserably. All it needed to do in order to be a truly good movie was take the show and condense it into a movie. That's it. The keyword of the day is unrecognizable. You would think the plotting in the show was totally separate from the movie, and they had two separate entities. The director thought it would be a good idea to change up the names of the main characters, so instead of Aang, it's Ong, instead of Sokka, it's Sukka, and instead of Iroh, it's Iroh. They did some stupid stuff in the show they did some stupid stuff in the movie that was totally different in the show. Like, firebenders weren't able to firebend unless they had fire near them, but in the show, they were able to create fire from their own body. The graphics were simple and awful, and the main differences from the show to the movie just made this film truly atrocious. Now that we've discussed about the plotting, let's finally get to the conclusion of this movie. The anime version of the conclusion of book 1 in the show was awe-inspiring to say the least. So much has went down in the show that we tied the whole series together. Zuko was finally able to capture Aang in the spirit world, despite the resistance from Katara. The Firebenders were finally infiltrated the Northern Water Tribe, and Admiral Zhao slays the Moon Spirit, so the Waterbenders lose their ability to waterbend. In anger, Aang escaped from Zuko and joined with the Ocean Spirit to destroy the Fire Nation army. And at the end, Fire Lord Ozai assigns his daughter to hunt down her traitorous uncle and brother. Conclusion in the movie. Unlike the phenomenal and memorable ending the show created, the movie ending was similar yet distant take on what it should have been, which subtracted the action of the climax to the very distinctive finale. Instead of Aang merging with the moon spirit, he just goes into the Avatar state just to lift up the ocean. And then the Fire Nation sees it and they flee, and then he puts the ocean back down. After that, like, I didn't even want to watch the movie ever. At that point, I was just like, you know what, it's done. It's done. They just ruined it. But then they have the Water Tribe acknowledge that he is the Avatar, and Aang looks as scared as ever. And then they had a little clip of the Fire Lord talking to his daughter. The end. Just totally belittled the ending of the whole series. And when the creators were asked what they thought of the movie, they elected to pretend that the live action film didn't exist, according to TV.com. Ultimately, The Last Airbender is one of those movies that was truly awful, that you have to watch twice just to make sure you watched it correctly the first time. After The Last Airbenders, the attached acting and complicated plotting and epic fail of a conclusion are just few of the aspects that make this movie one of the all-time worst movies of all time. But don't take my word for it. I'm sure now that I've broken down the many aspects of what made this movie truly terrible, you feel the urge to do a double take yourself.